Rastafari, the world over, has been forged in fire. From its inception, it was met with resistance, hard and fast resistance. Yet, the Rastafari brethren and sistren survived against the odds. In the Bahamas, the story remains the same. A story of resistance, a story of existence against the odds. And their voices deserve to be heard. Today, we begin the process of capturing those voices and sharing the story of survival, the story of existence, the story of making a way out of no way. As African people, we always pay homage to the elders in our community. It is always important to have their perspective in everything that we do. So this project involves capturing their voices and telling their story in their way. Today, we have Elder Rice with us, who will be sharing his story as, if not the eldest, one of the eldest Rastafari in the Bahamas. So, could you give us your government name first?
Let me say government name. With this government? The Bahamas or?
Yes, like your official name.
Oh, that's the Babylon name.
Yeah, the Babylon name.
Yeah. Well, Sherlock Gibson.
Sherlock Gibson.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. And as I would have said, your name within the movement is Elder Rice, your Rastafari name.
Yes.
Could you give us an idea of how that name came about?
Well, we had an eye liberation on the beach one day, and someone was saying, "Jah bless this Adrian hand so good, he can make dry rice taste like it's a gourmet."
Talking about you?
Yeah, and from then they started calling me Rice.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Because you chef the rice so good.
Yeah.
All right,
And it was only rice.
okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up. Well, before we get to that, as a matter of fact, if you don't mind sharing, when were you born?
I was born in 1952.
1952.
Yeah, on an island on Eleuthera.
On Eleuthera?
Yeah.
All right.
So I had a time experience of schooling that way before my family migrated to the capital.
Okay. So around what age did you migrate to the capital?
I was around 13, so I still had a couple years of schooling, because in my time you only could go, like how the children go to 12th grade. As for us, it was an all-age school in all the archipelago. So we gone the 6th.
To the 6th grade.
So who could learn? What could you learn in 6th? You had to be real elegant, and that's where my elegant teach me a lot, because I come to Farai in my earlier days, and so I get to learn like that, because in the schooling I didn't have chance to go and be in there to get that much education. Understand that?
Right.
So when I come to the capital, I still had a couple of years of that, because it was 6 years in my time for all the students. If I migrate to the capital, I still have to finish off
The other years.
other years there
Okay.
before I come out of school.
Before you come out of school.
So I spend most of the time in school that way, and only had a couple of years when I come this way.
Okay, no problem. What would you say is the difference between island living and Nassau living around the 60s or so when you would have come here?
The island living make us live more like we all as Rastas, and we always talk about the village. And the village is the big thing for us, the matter where we be in the world. We always try to uphold that village type living among ourselves, because there's always you had farm, and the farm is quite a ways from the house. So you got to go way over yonder to get wood early in the morning, because you can't get the wood from around the perimeter. because they wear live greens and stuff like that, and if the tree just walking in back down, you could go like that. But we had to go miles away to the field, and you bring things from the field, and you bring your wood too. And you had to get up early because you have to go to school. The school about 6 or 7 miles away from the homestead. So everyone have in that particular village, within it might be no more but 12 families, because the certain village, some bigger than some. I live up along, but my old man family lived down along. Down along is where the school is. That's about 6 or 7 miles. So I got to get up early, come from the field, get early, eat breakfast, change my clothes, get the crew. One crew out on the road waiting for the rest of the crew to meet one spot, and we all start to run up along, because I live down along, so we run up along to the school.
Okay.
And my time is at all age school. Everybody go to that school, no matter what age you are.
Okay.
So in the same class, you know.
So you would have been migrating to New Providence around the same time that we would have had the heyday of the majority rule movement.
Yeah, it was coming to that.
It was coming to that.
Yeah, it was coming to that.
Could you give us a little idea on your experience with that, the whole majority rule movement?
Well, the majority rule movement, I wasn't too much active into that, because by me just coming here to that, it would have to take a process in time to be linked up with rules going on around you.
Okay.
Because you had to get set up in school. That would have been the first thing on your mother and family agenda. And a place to live. And by you moving to the travelers, being poor, my family didn't live on every spot there is in this town. I didn't live in Foxwood, I didn't live in Grove, I didn't live in South Beach, I didn't live in every angle in this Bahamas and in the capital. We done move on and then live.
Yeah, move around.
So all that take a process and time, even for us to go into the school. Because in our time to go to the school, you had formatory men who monitor us. And if you get out of hand with them, you get put on probation, they beat you. The timing rod, you had to go and pick your timing rod for the probation officer to beat you. And if you bring one with wrap upon you, they'd quit. Man, that almost take off your leg or your head, the head wrap. Because when that snap, and would fly off stinging and all that, so you get a blast from this with here, and you get a blast from that one tying off and hit you. So you usually get beaten. So all that puts you in check. You understand? And like how because I done used to, this my second fate of curfew. Our curfew was in like this type curfew. Our curfew was you be in a certain time, if not, we pick you up. Wherever we see you after curfew time, we carry to the station, and then your family them have to come pick up from the station.
And this was
and they may get curfew or the law so strict there, they would have buck you and your mother head or your pa head together. Not generally, but the kind of pressure they would put on you.
Okay.
So when you reach back home, you was in line.
Okay. Okay.
The home was like, that's the prison if you mess up.
Right.
Home was, that's the school in case if you don't go to school every day, the person is one of the well, then you would be there to tutor you for that day because you didn't go into school. You know, home was the first church before we even get the things of being set up to have a family resident church to get to.
Right.
So all these things start out small. You know what I mean?
So about how old were you when you got into the trot? When you started trotting Rastafari?
Okay. I say I was around, but going into about 18 to 19. I tell my mother, Farai King, it's him. She said, who him, God? So yeah, she said, anyone go in my house, man, you got to leave. So I was thrown out on the road, and I survived into my Rastafari family. From there on in, I been living from this spot to the next spot, tell my brother, who I call my brother in the hut, in Rastafari hut, allow I to be here. And so you find a place for me to be, so wherever I go, he can go. And so I say the same thing to him. Wherever I be, you be. So it's the time when he was wanted. So I say, to jeopardize my freedom, I got to cloak him. I ain't going to salt him. I ain't going to throw him out to the lion. I cloak him and made him go on. He gone for one, he being off for one good little 12 years, just minding me, bringing him, till the pressure come down there on me and him. And bring the whole law enforcement there to the property where baby war.
This is when you first started in Detroit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's my meeting Bongo, that's my second time I done been down there, you know.
Okay.
I done been down there with it all in my truck. I traveled down there, running away from my family, going one place, going the next place to live.
Okay.
So, my first time down there, the village them, I was so, that's probably why they call me elder. When the Aussie and the rest of the brothers them down there know, well, the Babylon come and kill me because I wanted for some domestic thing in Nassau. The whole village come. And since the village come, the law said, look like this cell and they're making a big thing out of this. And you know how chief don't want us to be. So let him go. And then let me go.
So the police came to arrest you, and the Rastafari community came and rescued you.
Yeah, because the chief of them saying, look, we don't want us to be like this, man. The sergeant couldn't be like what they saying they wanting him for. So the chief said, you can take it on me anyhow. Let him go. Not knowing when the chief see my name, he say, this Sherlock Gibson? And that's my schoolmate, man. I mean, he's beat up all the big bully brain things. He's a bad red Indian boy. He's beat up everybody who's bully.
Yeah.
So he said, this is my best friend. And he said, let him go.
Okay.
They let me go.
Yeah. So yeah.
They didn't want the uprising
of the community.
Or the community and included the inspector know me. I was his good friend.
Right.
So that's the second time I get out of something like that.
Okay.
It's another time they catch us in the club. I never know, like the girls them this way, they like a lay back mature. But the young girls in Freeport, they be mature at the time. Now when the man bust the place, the man carry over 50 girls, and there was young teenage girls, and to look at them, I would never believe that until I saw it in the paper next morning. And the man beat everybody, sit on right next to the donkey, big boy, cut his hair and everything. One of the big chiefs was there, he said, "Wait, and the forefront of Rastafari, remember, we used to scare these men them because we wonder where they come from. They look so like they don't fit in. They don't fit in with our society. Where these people come from? So even though we was Bahamian, they think like these foreign men.
Right.
So most of the time they meet us. Where you talk to me? Where you come from? I say it's Bahamian. What they says? Because they didn't know of roots and culture and all of that. So even now, when people coming out the road and be walking on the side, they'll run from us. Because like Rasta was a new thing to the world. And what they was thinking of radical, it was not. We was always the peaceful set, but it was always us and naked.
Right.
So through that's why they think the ban is coming. Man, even though we eradicated people from doing this, they still coming together and doing this thing. These bad people, so they look at us to be bad.
Okay.
But we never did no bad.
Right.
You know.
Just through how the community.
We just smoke our hay and hang around and the young children around us, they can't bother with that.
Okay.
You know. And when they run, we not smoking.
So let me ask a question.
It's time for teaching.
Let me ask a question before we get to that, because we're going to get to the Rasta children later. All right, so Elder Rice, you mentioned how strict it was in the Bahamas, that even your home was like a prison
It's
to some
monitor.
extent.
Yes, monitor.
So how is it that you get to the Rastafari community and all of that? What pulled you into the trot?
The thrown out with when I tell after knowing of Farai, I show mama for Selassie is God. And that's when I was kicked out to the community. I had no other choice, but this like was the last one. This way I ended up from going from one spot to the next spot, and as time go on, long before Bob reached here, which then they say a lot has become Rasta because of Bob. Or Mary says longer dreadlocks older than him and longer dreadlocks than him.
Okay.
When he come here. And when we get a community us and we gone by Bob. You know Bob was on the run. So a big community, no more but a dozen or more. Rasta man, you don't know whether they men from your town coming to finish off what they started, what he's running from. So Bob, I was the only one that was picking up on this going on, the horse around it. So they come out to meet us. And they bring fruits and they greet us. They say greetings. And
This is Bob and his people.
yeah, and his daughter, his mother, and a couple of the boys. They come and they greet us and they bring some fruits and they say no, Daddy gone out for a moment and he wouldn't be back. So I voice out as there in the car. I say no, big brother Bob is right there, but he's scared. Just let him know. One of the elder would hold him close to his heart, want to see him. And Bob been coming from the front door, you know. Bob come from the side and stand up on the side of the place and do his hand like this and tell us come. And all he do, everybody just disappear from there and be in the brothers be gone around by Bob in the park under the rando. And that's when we really meet him personally and was entertained by him.
Okay. Okay, so that's Bob.
That's
But
Bob.
I still interested in something though.
Good.
We went ahead a little bit. When you went to your mother and say to her that Haile Selassie is who you following now,
Yeah.
how you get to that knowledge? How did that knowledge come to you?
Because we was like sick and we fine. So we was on the seek of Rastafari, so that Christian knowledge could come out of it. That's why I was able to talk to my mother and tell her those things.
Okay. Who were some of your early influences in Detroit?
We had an elder here. We call him Michael. Call him Michael the Archangel. But his street name is Fly. Like how they call me Rice, Papa Rice. They call him Fly. You see? But his name is Michael Major.
Okay.
But since he say he's Michael, he say he's Michael the Archangel. So
Okay.
that's another alias name we use for him on the street.
When he
So
tra-
he emperor that. Him and another elder called John Brown. Them two really emperor the whole country.
Okay. So would you say they were the two first Rasta?
Men them who was seeking into Farai type living, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Could you also, you started to tell us about the police and when you were wanted by them and you were able to let go. What were some of the other experiences that early Rastaman had? Not just the negative experiences, but some of the positive experiences also.
Well, like I say, this Rasta thing when it do hit certain words, the forces, the state itself, was scared of the present. So that's why we used to have a lot of the bombardment or a lot of the abuse from the system, because it's something like, even me with my family saying this, even knowing use of Jesus Christ Society and also our capability, it was that. That was the woman way. Mama get a bird in the morning, she cook, because she know when you go in the church, that's when 3 hours to 4 hours of just word hearing. So if you don't eat nothing in the morning and you come out to go there, you ain't gonna be waiting on no long hours to have food to eat. Food done finished, so when you come out there in 2.5 hours to 3 hours or 4 hours, you go home and food done there. Mama done get up early and cook food. And no one staying home if she's going to church. Even if she ain't going to church, we had to go to church. So they always used to say, Bahamas is a Christian society. Yeah, we are. But most of us now today don't live like it. And these islands, we were so close, we ain't had no other choice but be a certain way.
If the young Rastas were being put out of their homes, how were you surviving? How did you get food? How did you get shelter? How did you get clothes? How did you survive?
Just like I'm surviving now. You meet a brother, you and him come up like real blood brothers, and wherever he go, he make a provision for you.
And so
I that's how Rasta was living like that. It being a time, a brother say unto another brother, I rather kill you before I see you go into Rastafari. And it did. So be careful what we hope for and what we speak. Because you can speak these things continue on to your life. They about it's a family feud over there, what happened centuries ago, but you bring it to light. So it start back again like it just started.
yeah.
So all these things we learn at home. Be careful little children what you say or do. You know?
So the Rastafari movement was emerging the same time as the Black Conscious movement and the
was coming on stream.
Majority Rule movement. All of these happened at the same time.
Yeah.
But somehow Rasta seemed to have been pushed to the outside. Why do you think that is? If you're in a black country where they're saying they want to empower black people, and here comes Rastafari with a black theology, a black lens to look at religion through.
Yeah.
What do you think caused the distance or the separation?
But I think the distance come in with the misunderstanding. It's just like we was like not the norm. So this was like something hard for the system to compute with or understand. It had to be journey along this road and time to bring it to some sense. Because, I mean, they really didn't like it. You would have been walking on the side of the road. You sent some dump in a man truck because you didn't realize he clean this area. But just as you walking across the same way, you eating something, you look around for something, you see it, you don't want to throw it on the ground, so you dig it and throw it in. Throw it in the back of my head. I say, if you stinking thing you are, I said, don't get nothing on my truck, what I do to you? I said, sorry, sir. They come humble in the baby, take it in. They carry your stinking. Got my dump and I go around looking at the thing, throw it and then I go on. Before I go on, I say something I ain't supposed to say to him. I say, you can have a last word with me again. Say, give him man here before I chop you up. He want to chop me up now, so one thing leads to the next, you know.
So if there was this antagonism in the community. How were the women treated? Rastafari women treated in that time?
Well, well, during our time, there was a lot of daughters coming to the fold, maybe because of their men, and then all of a sudden that faded out because, okay, I and the men, them coming to the fold to the king, Selassie. He gave a great order on us more greater than the Jesus Christ story. But at least the Jesus Christ teaching draw near as one. And when the last year teaching come in the fold, we say, man, this teaching a foundation, man, from creation, man. When mother, mama, papa, Africa was the cradle of all civilization. So that's where I put, look to the east, that's where I put all these wondrous holy words and things we used to be saying and talking to one another. Hey, I didn't be stop eating fish, you know. Hey, why I drink? Hey, the God don't know he's God. You can't put these things in their kingdom and temple, man. And so this when the awareness started coming on with the Rasta. But we always had the spiritual togetherness. But it didn't share as much as in it, Rastafari, like how I succumbed to this.
Okay.
It wasn't an overnight thing. We were fussy and fighting. The daughters them coming here. Hey daughters, you got on this tight thing that you born like take it off and put on your blouse and skating thing, man. You all hard daughter. And we was fiery then. We was fiery and we was fiery on our own people for no reason because my son them, they don't know no better. That's why we use certain quote from the biblical. Like I said, man, how you can explain Selassie being all this wonderful, all of this to inspirate you in this spiritual way, and I don't see him in the biblical like that. No, you don't see him in the biblical like that because only two really terms that they speak of him like that in any biblical. They say him. To explain him had to be in a man, okay? His hair is like what? Whose hair is like what? His foot is like copper. Whose foot is like copper? What copper is supposed to represent? Is that like eight? Or is copper a thing? Or is copper a color? Is him as the one more than and Jesus? Because when they speak of him, Jesus ain't no way in that. When Jesus just come around in AD, and him being around from BC. So how could you put these two stories together? And before them were I and I. So his story come before Jesus Christ's story, man. That just come. I come to brainwash us and keep us separated and segregated. Because a Christian right now come to me now, I like to talk to them. Because they will say, disrespect me, disrespect my father. I won't say nothing about it. I won't be mad with them and fight them on the night I try to govern. That feeling inside me. I only a man. A man can bring out the beast. So what I'm going to do, let this beast bring this beast out more that I have in me to destroy me and destroy what the Father put us here for. This one, no matter what belief I take, we still one. But they don't see it that way. Because we are not in the same religion. It's impossible for us to be one because they don't see it as the same oneness. You know, if me and you could sing together, if we could eat together, and we could live together, and we could walk together, that's how we can come to be one and understand one another. But if we find it hard to do these things, then we can't be this.
So, in talking about coming together and being one, let's talk more about the tradition of having camps. That's one of the things that is synonymous with Rastafari, especially here in the Bahamas, having these camps. Could you give us an idea of how these camps came about and individuals who would have been associated with bringing these camps about?
Like, well, long before the camp come into view, because it's these men that would go on the yard, and they use the camp image from how it is Bull Bay.
Okay.
So Ted had the camp, Eliezer had the camp, the next one had the camp, and all these camps come with them. But when we use an elevation as Rastafari started, our camp was in the woods, in the wild.
Right.
Sometimes we end up in a private area where there is some fresh water well in there. So the tourists get to say, well, they were there, they tabernacle in the water well and blah. So the man come and say, Custis up in them areas one time, we all had to go into the court. The Bible there, get all our books there, get a little quarter ounce of here, but we had there because it was a Sabbath day then. And we were strengthening into the ways of the biblical, but still holding this culture, but we know long before creation of vibration, we know this was here with us. And it had a name. But somehow it come back down to these people down this part of the hemisphere. So when we say this Rasta wasn't nothing new to I and I. There was just a way of life that somehow we say you had to come to. You had to come to know the real you before you could know anything else. So, and all these things start from home, loving, knowing yourself and having compassion because you got brothers and sisters. And I love hand on. I grew up with hand on and hand on, shade hand on, pants and stuff. Yeah. My brother started losing it, but he powered in some way he could hand it on to a brother who he could accept that because he have it in the poor society. So we learn to appreciate hand on and my brother and my sister and favorite one. It's just that this one need nation right now. All y'all don't hate my head, man. This one need nation more than y'all. Y'all go there and make it sound like it's a mad thing. Y'all go here, come here. And your nature is one because this one need nation more than y'all. Y'all don't need bullying anything. You're set with everything else. Y'all need no help, right? Nothing wrong with y'all. Y'all go here. Something wrong with this one.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the camps was more of a Bobo tradition.
The camps was a Bobo tradition.
And your tradition is the Nyabingi.
The Nyabingi, we all do gather.
Yeah.
So we had places where we could go and gather, either botanical garden, or we go out on the beach, or we go on the fort. We always had places where we gather, but not just lately as time going on, we say, okay, the Charlie place was known as the #1 place for Rastafari.
Right.
Bongo even had this interview. Bongo was living from one spot in the bottom, going from one spot to one spot, just living.
Right.
And we never gathered around him. When we started gathering around Rastafari plenty, here with Bongo, before this bill, the Tabernacle bill, we used to gather, we call it in the back here. Because all in the front there was just more high trees. We used to gather in the back there, and we used to hold ISIS in the back there. And sometimes when we put up the little thing like that, the wind blowing, we getting wet, but we still singing ISIS. You understand? So we come from a long way, man.
Yeah.
Come from a long way.
Now, what about children? How were Rasta children treated, especially in those early days?
Well, through a long time of working at it, they never accept our children in the school.
At first, children weren't
we had to go
accepted.
we had to go into a fear of that now,
Right.
fighting to get that kind of rights, so they will be accepted and not being like it's not normal.
Hmm.
Don't care how the children look like, 'cause it's not normal in any country that you could say, I'm not teaching this child because this child from the south. I'm not teaching him she from the east. That's stupidity.
Yeah, that's a
All
human right.
medicine. That should be natural for any country or any leader that see that these children get education, see that their health is and education is their number one propriety. You know what I mean? So we going through afraid of that too.
All right. So you said that there was like a lot of oppression against the Rasta community. Did the Rasta community just take this laying down, or was there some resistance movement somewhere along there?
Yeah, because we was marching on them from then.
So
Yeah,
the resistance.
sometimes some things get so resistant. You can't understand how it go, and so we go and we try to get with the chief to the higher court instead of dealing there, because the local boys them were abusing us. So if we go to the higher, explain to the higher chief of them, that means the highest court, they will hear us out and put their attention, they ease up some of the pressure, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Was there was a story that you heard of at one point Rastas shooting up the police station, and it was almost called like a Rasta war. You have any information about that?
yeah, Bongo used to live out there, and that's what really started all that stuff, because I was always,
Where did they live?
they live out in the Michael Road area.
Okay.
So that's when the first starting of brothers them running away. So plenty of brothers was thrown out.
Uh-huh.
So they end up in these little, like I tell you, down there when the man come down there, one of the chief's son would bring the eradication down to this story what I'm talking on now, since you mentioned it. One of the inspector boys take the chief's gun and bring it down there.
His own son.
Yeah, your own son. And so he tell his son if he going out, if he don't meet that gun home, there where it is, this side was Kote. He killed everything up in the back there. Even the fleas, the dog, the fleas or the dog, everything. Like that's how it was more like that's how it is, that the Kote was given onto us now, so we had to break up running for our life.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come, they ain't talking, they start shooting. Bongo saved the two twins them now, one called Peter and one called Paul. They still in the bottom. All them started Rasta now. They might not have locks on their head now, but they know of the king and they know of the eye.
They were Rasta children at the time.
They was Rasta children. Their mother did get caught up, and the mother and father get caught up and get sent back home. Okay? And Bongo had to save them by playing dead, and they shooting machine gun. Couple brothers end up getting killed and get shoot. Couple Rasta end up getting shoot up in the back then killed. And so after they did that, they had a couple of young boys and they catch them and beat the brothers them. They had bad and cut their law. The brothers them retaliate against the system. Why you think they just locked the policeman door then now? They get them to pass the police station and whistle down the police station. They put doors on it now. What's no doors in the station? You walk right in the station. Anytime you walk in the station, you walk in the church. Now the church lock up, the station lock up, everything lock up. Who caused that? That's the same why would the system bring down on these boys.
Around what year would this have been?
Just like was in the 80s.
1980s.
Yeah, when the shit was going on with the niggas them shooting, they call it like, man, I'm killing up all the government workers. Huh? Because and you go, the beach nigga had a problem with the Rasta. When you look, they go and shoot up the beach. One of the beach warden get killed in that.
So anybody who was fighting down Rasta, these fellas would come to defend the Rasta brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how it was, man. And then the man catch up with the brothers, them, eradicate them, send most of them to jail. But there's other few bad apples on the bunch who was robbing all the pushing man and taking your bike. He's a bobo. The bad people eradicate him, but see a lot of them take the wrong road. They think Rasta was violence. We thought and all. We used to say, man, the Lord is the fullness of all. We used to be bigoted, go down on Carmichael Road and take out all the people and things and things. Sometimes the man meet us and say, she ain't walking out with the bag. The man say, man, you come and get a couple of stuff, you know. You Marshall boy, my co-op, they would come in and then too much bag, man. You're going to eat something and sell something. It's too bad. We do something bad, but our aim is good.
All right.
So we used to say, we used to just have our own mindset. Okay, you plan this thing, but that's the Lord on. So even though you own that, be on that too.
Yeah, and this would have been.
But I know because you only saw that.
And this would have been teenagers who would have been thrown out of their home.
Yeah.
So they had to find ways to survive.
Find ways to survive. So a lot of us come in the Rasta to that same mentality, and we improvise and improvise. Plenty other brothers would come in the short would have a different mentality of how we see it. Like a young brother like Charlie. You know, I mightn't give him free smoke, but Charlie could say I was one of the brothers who improvised him and that kind of time. Being up around that area. Right. And I, as few of the elders who immigrate, a lot of the Idun would come into the fold of that, because when they see me, they say, this Idun's so cool, and he's different from the rest of the Idun, them who's be around here, bullying up and doing everybody else, you know, because I was always humble Idun from then to now. Okay. But that don't mean I had no vicious ways inside, but I never played out.
Okay. So, now being in 2021 and the food that Rastas eat is now being said by doctors as the diet, the best diet for human beings now. The marijuana that Rastas were locked up for is now being commercialized, people getting ready to sell it. How do you as a Rasta feel going living through that experience from having people, the message for you remains the same, but people went from fighting it down and saying it was utter foolishness to now it becoming mainstream? How does that make you feel? Or what are your thoughts on that?
It's just like in the country, you make a law, right? A law supply to everybody if everyone maintained it in the same set base. But in the law, in country, in other people's world, it always can be a tug of war. Because some people, they only good here. They wouldn't be good over there. So if they're not the good over there, they ain't gonna be no good here. So you understand what I said to you just now? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's how it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of us only good here. But if you cast over there, we ain't be good over there. Why? But we still the same person.
Do you feel a sense of
because
like
he only acting good here. But his general intentions to do act generally, so when he go can't, you got to play it out.
Do you feel a sense of validation now with how things have progressed? Legalization of marijuana being discussed by the government, the diet and much of the culture and message of Rastafari accepted more.
Okay, accepted and you'll be. Most of these things it's just one set of people. I hope will profit us some good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because spearheading it were I and I. Being persecuted for it was I and I. So why can't we, if anything to do with it, all them little trick lists and stuff what they can make out of it, I and I can make them things. Because I and I know our ancestors make things from naturally to make a coconut cake.
Right.
Make a Jimmy pie. And these things from scratch. Candy is like nothing for me to make. Hey, pie is like nothing for me to make. Hey, brown is nothing for me to make. Hey, ice cream is like nothing for me to make. Hey, butter is like nothing for me to make. But give us the privilege, the right to do these things. That's all. And then I'll be pleased.
Right. So you like the idea that they're discussing it, but you are under no false impression that they're doing it for you. You want to make sure that you are included.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Whether you want to do it for recreational policy or medical policy, let us be involved. That's all I'm saying.
So
because it is us who is being persecuted for it. So why can't, if you decide to say, well, we can make it legal across the board? Because a lot of people who wasn't even being persecuted over it because they was behind the curtain, they was using it just as much as us because they had wealth and they could have it on time.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah. So after all of that, we went through the beginning. We're now in 2021. What vision do you see? What do you see in the future for the Rastafari community?
Like I was saying, we hoping the light in the tunnel. You know, and I really mean that more than just saying it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just like everything else, it takes weeks to work on things to bring it to a perfect fulfill. Because you say, I said at the mean this, you say you want to be a good somebody, but you still ain't want to apply nothing good to make this someone body what you saying, this good body.
Right.
It ain't never, nowhere in the world it ain't come to you if you don't do it yourself. Okay? I want to transit. This transition can be from I being like this. Worry but no more. I don't worry but that drink no more. The kind of female I pay for jail to have community them set no more because I know where I'll be going if I communicate with this set. But that don't mean I can't tell them a word for to make their life more. But that does not mean that I'm dealing with them. I'm showing them strength it's the same strength I show my maiden who's my loved one or my child. You know what I mean? So you know this thing.
Right. So it sounds as if you're saying, in order for us to achieve our potential, we gotta have some discipline within the community.
We have to, and we have to have the discipline start with. I respect you and your children, and I love them, and I love you and your children. So whatever is yours, I guide them to my mindset. They're just like mine, so no one could take advantage of them. No one could come and move your things. And as from I to the I, you can do the same thing too, because that's how we live. See, when we practice those things, they come out. Voice can be more powerful in the words, you know. But the word is to remind you, but that's what you got to do, buddy. So you rehearse it to yourself. You know, I won't tell my children something, but they so disrespectful, they so this and that. So, Father, help me to rehearse this, how I gotta confront these good boy and girl, because two of them I gotta talk to them, because it's them got their mother going through this, it's them got me going through this. So, I got to rehearse it to myself. They're grown up now. They're no more little children now. So I was going to confront them. I got to say now, I was a sometimes my mother said that she had to find ways how to confront me because I getting so out of hand. About she put me on leash, send me to the pump. I used to run away. Bad boy, man. Run away. Sleep in graveyard, sleep on the bad boy. Huh? My clothes smell funky and things like that. I go up in the bush, I touch the water over me. I go in the sea, I get the fresh water, go in the bush. These clothes, them dirty. I ain't got no place to clean them or nothing like that. So, I look up, I look down, and I look all around. I line step. I bad boy. As society would say, man. My mother, she get a sweetheart, them, all them coming out one of them, and I get tired, I run a sweetheart them. Fall them at ball and walk, not knowing they trying to do good to please this woman. Father gone off the contract, never come back home. So, mama can't never play that. But someone's coming with single parents with his mama, and I double time tell her, I look at mama being the father, and the female head there, fine, I can really look up and look down all around. But papa, you can't get to know my papa is a big man. You can tell me something now. This ain't have nothing to do with what you talk. It's a part of history. He can't give me this because he was bullied by his younger brother, a sibling and loved one. They end up taking all the land, which I could possibly give to you. You can set off the rail and take some money. And I know you got a goal. You say you're going to put up a nature, a bonefish habitat on the island, because plenty land there. And my sister doing this last house, she gets some document and she give me some paper about this couple where I guess that I 100 by 50. I said, but that's not something to do, but you need money, man. You can have all the land in the world. If you don't have no money, what do you do with the land? Farm it? You could farm it. But then you need seed, you need money for seed. So right now, I trying to save all the seed I could possibly get. And I started this from now, so whenever I'm ready to go home and do what I have to do on the island, and the home thing could be just like this. Build a circular homes, you see. Circular efficiency, you could walk from one home to the next home and walk straight on it. And out of a walkway, you have a certain area you could go to see where trees, and all these trees will have their name. Right. You know, you're poor and you only could do what we could do. I ain't got no money. Yeah. And I poor in this position, but once you work at it, you will have things and be comfortable, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So as we close out, final thing, what would be some words that you share with the Rastafari community as a source of inspiration? You can look into the camera and share those words.
I thinking now we got to hold the better days in this country and in the world. Like our men, like you, this how we think. When we say a prayer during this crisis with this deadly thing on the world, we don't pray for the Bahamas and no place else. We pray for the world and everyone that live on this continent. And so that's what that's my 5 cents, my input.
All right.
That we live more better as humans, live more better among ourselves, no matter where we go. Because the discipline starts with you. The violence can start with you. The continued love can start with you. So which one we gonna just show more on another? It's just like badness. If I do badness more than this, badness will destroy us. But if I do righteous more outside, and they'll give us vision to live long.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've heard it from the lion's mouth, as they would say. Rastafari voices, Rastafari stories told by Rastafari.